Hey everybody, welcome back to some reactions. This time about the Nintendo Indie World Showcase they just had here on March 17th, 2020. They showed off maybe about 15 or so games. I'm just kind of looking at the list I wrote down just right now. But I'm actually going to go through a little bit of each of them, just kind of give my thoughts, a little bit of insight that I have on each of them. And I'm also going to list kind of like the top three games that I had from it when I get to them. We'll kind of count them down per se. We do also have a little mini game we'll play called Switch Timed Exclusive Number 1, Number 2, and such and such. And we'll see which ones, how many they have total in this Nintendo Indie Showcase. I guess I'll call it, because they used to call it Nindies. It used to be kind of the words they used, but going with Indie World, it's kind of more of like a thing they've used in other territories. So they're just kind of sticking with Indie World now, which I liked in Indies, but I kind of wasn't like too hot on the name. But starting off, we do have Blue Fire. This is this game from an Argentina-based developer, and it really resembled something like Mini Ninjas. I felt like it's like just a little ninja, just kind of running around, doing his like platforming, different combat. It's 3D game. It's not 2D. I'm sure you guys have seen this already if you're watching this video right now. It's also Robi Studios is ROBI. I assume that's the Argentina-based developer. It's coming out summer 2020, and starting us off, this is the first Switch timed exclusive that was announced in the showcase. Next up, we have a game called Baldo, which we had a little message from the developer starting off. I think this is a Italian-based developer, and of course, thoughts going out to everyone over there right now. But it's an RPG with kind of Japanese anime art, and you can really see it. It looks like something like Ni no Kuni or like anything Studio Ghibli has done. Again, I'm not like a big like Studio Ghibli person, so like I haven't seen a ton of anime. But it really is that kind of Ni no Kuni art style, which this is actually one of my top three games. This is probably at number 3 from what I've seen. Again, I'm not even really a big RPG person, but if you can get something kind of, smaller, kind of thoughtful kind of game that's not going to take me 100 hours to beat or even like 40 hours, maybe give me like a 10 to 20 hour adventure. Maybe I can complete it in a few more hours after that. I'm pretty excited about stuff like that. So it is also coming summer 2020 and is our second Switch Time exclusive. So, of course, with our Switch Time exclusive, I do believe they also say console exclusive. So expect this to show up on either PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or also PC in the future. Maybe even PS5 and Xbox Series X. Who knows? Next game is I Am Dead. Kind of just like an interesting trailer starting off. This is actually by Hollow Ponds, which I'm not sure I had heard of. But the name I do remember is Richard Hogg, which is the one of the creators, and I want to say the art director on Hohokum, if you guys remember that game back on PSN. I think it's still on PS4, PS3, PS Vita. We used to talk about it on PSN stores. I don't remember who it was, but some people hated that game. I wasn't ever too big on it, but this is one of his next games. It seems like you're playing as a ghost, unraveling secrets, just kind of taking from what the text shows. So the character who ends up saying, like, hey, I'm dead, they're kind of like showing different parts of this world, or maybe this museum that he lives in, or that he owned, or, yeah, maybe lived in, I'm not sure. And they're just kind of showing different things. You solve puzzles and secrets and those kinds of things, like those kind of just experimental kind of games. So I'm actually kind of interested in that. Didn't make the top 3, but I am interested, especially with that pedigree of just the art director of Hohokum. I really liked that art for sure. It's Annapurna published. It's coming out in 2020. This is number 3 Switch timed console exclusive. Next up, we have, I think that's just considered Bark, but it's B period ARK, and which I guess stands for Bio Interstellar Arc. This is from TikTok Games, California developer, best known for Adventures of Pip, which is a game I really liked and reviewed back in the day on PSN stores. This is a side-scrolling shooter. It has different characters with unique abilities. It honestly didn't seem all that great to me, I guess. It just kind of was like, yeah, it's one of those games. They said you can mix abilities from like different characters, so I don't know if it's like, um, you know, different abilities can catch on fire, like mixing different special attributes, those kinds of things. Not entirely sure. It comes out late 2020, and this is our fourth Switch timed console exclusive. Next up, we had a little live action animated exchange between a weird looking undead thing and a guy. You can clearly tell my happiness in this, no pun intended. So Cyanide and Happiness, I haven't really seen what that is or what that show is. I've heard of it though. But the game is called Cyanide and Happiness Freak Apocalypse. And really they showed a trailer, but the only thing I really know about this is explore and solve puzzles summer 2020. And this is the fifth timed Switch timed exclusive or console exclusive. So this is 5 games in a row. All of them have been Switch console exclusives, and we're not done yet. We have one more in a row of being a Switch timed console exclusive. It says Summer in Mara, and it's kind of hard to really pinpoint what this game is, but it seems like it's more like a lifestyle game. So there's different parts in the trailer of the character fishing and farming and finding like secrets, like a big rock with some icons on it, like you don't know. It's like a mystery. They do also say in the trailer there are 30 islands to explore. Spring 2020. Again, this is their kind of games coming out soon, and this is the timed exclusive, number 6 Switch time console exclusive coming out in this presentation. So, and I think we have a few more as well. But the one thing they also mentioned was that you can get your hands on like an exclusive item. So it looked like there was a t-shirt, but the other thing was that the character was running around with like a Koopa Troopa backpack, like with the shell. So that actually looked kind of cool, little Nintendo DLC crossover thing there. Next up was Quantum League. It's a time-based FPS, so actions of characters copied to like the next round. So it looked like 1v1. So like, let's say if I started the round and I went to the left and I tried to shoot the character that I was up against, the game kind of actually just repeats that. There was kind of like a mechanic in, I don't know why I maybe go to this, but like Ratchet and Clank Future Crack in Time, where like if you ran over here with Clank and then like resumed time, there was like another Clank that ran over and did the certain thing. It's kind of like that. So I assume if you like run to the left in the first round and like shoot bullets towards the center of the map, the next time the next round starts, there's going to be a ghost of you that's also going to do that. Which it seems okay, it seems cool, but I don't know if that character is just going to be firing into nothingness. If you didn't win that round, you have to go back and kill the character in round 2, like your opponent in round 2, and then also kill him in round 1. So like, do you have to strategize of like killing 2 enemies at the same time in a round, like the previous self and like the current round self? I don't know. Yeah, and that's kind of where it has me intrigued. It weirdly looked kind of cartoony in the sense of like the art, but then they're also like holding like realistic weapons, which seemed a little weird to me. Didn't really get any concrete details other than that. Just late 2020, had a little bit of a message from the developer. Next up, we did have a familiar face we've seen before. This is Swery65. This is The Good Life, which he describes in the video as a debt repayment RPG. And it's like, well, Animal Crossing is coming out in a couple days. But so the other thing is characters change into dogs and cats at night. And I guess you're running around trying to solve that debt when characters are doing that. So that's coming out, just has the date of 2020. Doesn't say anything about exclusive or anything like that. So basically, if the game doesn't say exclusive, expect this probably on other platforms. Maybe not launch day, but probably pretty close to launch day. Next up, kind of getting towards the end now, kind of in the latter half, we have a game we haven't seen for over a year. This is from Hello Games. This is called The Last Campfire. And of course, we'll remember seeing this game at the Game Awards. I want to say maybe 2018, I think it was. was where we first saw this game, but this is from the No Man's Sky developer. They showed a good trailer, probably a good minute and a half, 2 minute trailer of just the character roaming around and solving puzzles, connecting with other kind of like characters. Definitely has a little bit of like a Brothers or maybe even like Journey kind of aesthetic to it, like a masked hero going around solving puzzles, not really sure like what's going on, unraveling secrets, that kind of stuff. This is definitely probably number two game for me in this presentation. It doesn't say anything about console exclusive, so expect this probably to also come out on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, probably relatively soon after it launches, maybe even day and date, not really sure though. But yeah, just summer 2020, looking forward to it. Haven't gotten back into No Man's Sky recently with all their new patches, but maybe at some point I definitely want to try out that VR mode for sure. Next up is a game that PlayStation fans will be familiar with now on a Nintendo platform, is Pixel Junk Eden 2. So we did have an original Pixel Junk Eden. This game was original game was a PS3 game. It probably was on like PC and probably got ported elsewhere. But I think I remember buying this game on, there was like a Pixel Junk sale for like 99 cents per game back like probably over 10 years ago on the PS3. So I remember picking those games up with that. So looks very similar to the original Pixel Junk Eden. The world reacts to how you play. It's kind of music going on in the background. Summer 2020. Didn't really get into the original game when I played it on PS3. But it still looks cool. Expect that game to probably be on PlayStation. Didn't say anything about exclusive. With it being a Pixel Junk game, I would expect that to also be on PlayStation. So next up is, I'm going to butcher this one, Faria. Can't remember what it is, but it's Faeria. It's a card game from a Belgium developer. The other just notes I wrote down here is the Switch version has 4 free card packs. It's coming out later this month in March. I guess they said if you don't get those card packs in time, I don't know what the window is, that it'll be available for purchase later. So it's like an incentive to buy the game before it comes out, or buy the game relatively soon after it comes out. I'm not really into the TCG, trading card game, living card game, whatever the word is. But there's just like cards that's like deal this damage, and this is a flying enemy that has 2 charge damage, like that kind of stuff. And I don't mean to sound it in a like condescending tone. I just really don't know too much about these kind of games. It does have kind of like a hex map also that you're playing on, so expect that to come to other platforms as well, probably relatively soon. The final 2 main games, including a highlight reel. So next game up is Eldest Souls. So when I first saw this game, I thought this was like maybe a follow-up to Titan Souls, which was a like Devolver published game like years ago. So this game's not that. It's from Fallen Flag Studios developing, and with the name implies of Souls, you can kind of already probably assume what it is. It's more of a top-down isometric. You have a stamina bar, you have a health bar. You get skills to level up after you beat bosses. They called it a boss rush battler. Yeah, so becoming summer. This is the 7th timed console exclusive for Nintendo Switch. I don't know. I mean, it looks fine. I'm sure it's going to be hard, and I'm not too great with hard games where I just die and not feeling like I'm making progress. I don't really get that much satisfaction out of those games. So, up next, the penultimate kind of announcement, I guess. We have a highlight reel. I'll just run through these real quick. Blair Witch is the Bloober Team game. People have like Layers of Fear. That's coming out summer 2020. Ghost of a Tale looks as kind of like been on PC, maybe other platforms. It's got like this kind of Redwall aesthetic, if you remember those books back in the day, like a mouse like infiltrating some castle kind of thing. Spring 2020. We have Sky, not with the Children of the Light moniker, but just called Sky. That's coming out summer 2020. That is that game company game that's been on mobile, which of course that game company is the makers of like Flower and Flow and Journey. Finally, they're getting their game out on a new console. I think a lot of people have been waiting for that. Next up, also with the name Sky, is Sky Racket, which is available today. It looks kind of like a side-scrolling shooter, but might be kind of like an Arkanoid style thing where like kind of projectiles are flying back into like, you know, like you'll like rack it and hit a ball, and then it'll fly back and hit some enemy, and it'll come back to you and you'll have to hit it again. It looked actually kind of fun. It's available later today. That was kind of like a just thrown in there, like, oh yeah, by the way, it's available today. It's like if you didn't read the fine print on the bottom left, you would have no idea that that game came out. So maybe you feel bad for the developers on that one. Next up, Superliminal. We saw that game in a state of play for PlayStation a few months ago. That's coming out summer 2020. Wingspan is a bird aviary reconnaissance game. I didn't really know. There's like different birds and like different environments. That's coming out spring 2020. A game Curtis is probably excited about coming to Switch. Dicey Dungeons is coming out 2020. Bounty Battle, which seemed like a kind of Smash Brothers kind of beat 'em up sort of thing. I think I saw the character from Guacamelee in there. That's coming out summer 2020. Last up on the highlight reel is Moving Out, coming out April 28th, 2020. So not too far away. That's the only game in this entire Indie World Showcase that actually has a specific date. And that game's very reminiscent of something like Overcooked, which is you're carrying out like furniture and trying to maneuver it and trying to fit the couch through the hallway kind of thing. But other than that, we do have one final game that kind of teased this up as being like maybe like a big announcement. I was actually really excited for it. So they first showed it, and I kind of could tell immediately that it was something Enter the Gungeon related. But we ended up finding out that it was actually Exit the Gungeon. I actually thought this was going to be like an Enter the Gungeon 2. So we do actually have Exit the Gungeon. I think it's on like Apple Arcade right now on mobile. And this is more of like a side-scrolling Enter the Gungeon, kind of going back and forth between screens, whereas Enter the Gungeon, you know, is like kind of like isometric. You can do all these different things, kind of more 3D. But yeah, this game's already on mobile. Really was kind of disappointed. Thought it was maybe Enter the Gungeon 2. I really liked Enter the Gungeon 1, so would be interested to see what they would do with a Gungeon sequel. This game's available later today also. That was kind of like the big thing, was that, hey, Exit the Gungeon's on Switch today, and this is the 8th timed Switch console exclusive. I think I've probably said those 4 words in every different variation you could ever think of. Now, this is probably my number 1 game from it. I really liked Enter the Gungeon. Surprisingly enough, though, never beat that game. Was always just constantly dying, and even when all the different updates came out, I also tried to get back into it, but still couldn't. But yeah, that's it. Again, my top 3 being that game Baldo. It's an RPG. Next up being The Last Campfire, and then number 1 being Exit the Gungeon. I hope you enjoyed just kind of talking about these games. Kind of just gave this as trying to be a try not to use the word post-game, because it's not technically a post-game. It's more of a reactions to the Indie World Showcase from March 17th on Nintendo Switch. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of this direct, quote-unquote, using air quotes for direct, this Indie World Showcase. And let me know what your favorite game was, and we'll see you next time, maybe for a Nintendo Direct soon.